All right, guys. So today is the day that you're actually going to start brainstorming for your memoir that you're going to be writing for your final assessment. At this point, you should have a pretty solid idea about which event you are going to choose. I did suggest that you use your memory timeline that you already created to find one of those events. My biggest point of reference would be to make sure that you're choosing an event in your life that has shaped your identity. This whole unit is about who you are as a human and how your experiences and your memories shape your identity. So if you're thinking about your event right now, you just have to ask yourself, does this show who I am? And how has this event affected who I am? Okay. One important thing you want to make sure you're doing is identifying a really strong focus. Instead of talking about something as broad as your seventh grade year, you want to maybe hone it down into your very first day of seventh grade, or a different day that like stood out to you in some way, shape, or form. Instead of talking about your whole trip to the Bahamas, maybe it was this time you went scuba diving or zip lining. It really depends on what you want to do, but you have to make sure that there's like a definite focus. For mine, I would have talked about my grandmother, but instead of talking about her as a whole human being, I would choose maybe one significant event where she really provided a life lesson and how that's then shaped who I am. Okay, so you want to make sure you identify a focus. The other thing you want to do is when you are within your brainstorm, you just want to keep in mind that you're choosing a topic that you can accurately describe using descriptive language, imagery, or figurative language. If you go back to the rubric that I provided yesterday, you'll see that you have to have at least 6 examples of those in your writing, and it's important that you don't neglect that. You want to be able to paint a picture with your words. So for this brainstorm, you're going to notice that there's a topic box. This is where you're going to type in the topic that you're choosing. Okay. And then there's an outline, and this is where you're going to describe things, the important things that you remember about it. And you're going to do this in sequential order, meaning you're thinking about this from the beginning, middle, and end. Okay. So I did provide an example brainstorm over in Google Classroom. I must have ordered those differently. So I have right here my example, first roller coaster trip ride, and then here's the outline, beginning, middle, and end. Okay. After the beginning, middle, and end, or maybe even before it, you're going to have right here your symbol and irony option. The symbol is not optional. I do want you to try to find a symbol that you can weave throughout your memoir. Because again, part of the rubric is, are you using the techniques that Ellie used during night? So he used the image of nighttime to represent the evil and the darkness and everything in his life. What I want you to do is I want you to find something. Maybe it's your grandmother's ring. Maybe it's the weird coffee stain on the headrest in your car that you were stuck staring at during your long road trip somewhere. Maybe it was your favorite pair of shorts because you only packed one pair when you were going on your trip. I don't know, but you have to think of something and how it can like be bigger than it is. Over here for that, like for this example, we had like the hill of the roller coaster, which might represent the challenges, the uphill challenges that life might present, just like a roller coaster has like its twists and turns. So the roller coaster itself and the hill specifically in itself is symbolic, and we tried to weave that in our own example. Another thing that I would like you to try to do during your brainstorm is think of irony. Now, this part is optional because I know that sometimes it doesn't always work out that way, but can you find a way to weave irony into your memoir? For ours, it was fresh, cool air under a bright sun. It was this thing where, it's like very life providing and not scary at all. And then the roller coaster ride is traumatized, it's traumatizing in the example. So for your student brainstorm, I do want you to make sure that you're filling out these boxes here and push yourself for the irony piece. Last but not least, we are having you look at the 5 senses because, again, that descriptive language is extremely important. You need examples, at least 6 examples in your figurative language piece, a figurative language that are purposeful. And if you look at the example, it definitely has one in there, or it has 6 in there, and I highlighted them in yellow. We're asking you to look at the see, smell, taste, touch, and hear. And what's important is if you look at the example, which is right here, if you look at the example, you'll notice that I have a lot for C because obviously that's our strongest scent. I have smell, but you're going to notice that smell and taste are they're a lot shorter than some of the other ones because they are not as maybe prevalent in my particular topic. So don't worry if you only have one thing for taste or a couple things for smell, but the other ones you really should have a lot more, okay? Again, with looking at how you're going to weave this into an actual story, I'll just show you the model real quick. You do have this already in Google Classroom, but if you look here, you'll notice that things highlighted in yellow are the ways I took those senses and really built them into the story, okay? You'll see how I used, and I have 7 things highlighted. You have to have 6 in order to get the full credit on the rubric, okay? So what you're doing basically today is you're starting your brainstorm. This document here, it will be in Google Classroom. You're thinking about your event and you're going to be outlining very carefully how you want this to be presented to us and what images and what symbol you're going to try to use, okay? If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in between IOCs. I will be glad to help. All right, good luck and happy everyone.